It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone to face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness.
Hey, welcome back to Baseball 101. Hope you're having a great day out there. If not, hopefully we can cheer you up a little bit. Although, who am I kidding? We probably won't, but at least you have something to do for the next half an hour, 45, I don't know, however long we talk. So, hopefully you stick around. There is some great information today. Today I have Brett Graves with me from Premier Pitching, as well as, well, my former student. I coached him. I've known you a while.
Long time. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Good for us. That's good. We have a good relationship. But Brett, if you don't know, graduated from Francis Howell in 2011? 11. You were 11. So won a state championship. Went on to Mizzou. Was drafted out of Mizzou in the what round? I don't remember. Third.
Yep.
Third round.
Third.
So he did third. To the Oakland A's. Was with the Oakland A's, and then the Miami Marlins picked him up in Rule 5 draft. Spent 1 year in the major leagues with them.
Mm-hmm.
And finished out his career, and then has come back and is now part owner, co-owner. How's that work?
Yeah.
He's
co-owner.
one of the owners.
Yeah.
Of Premier Pitching out Wentzville.
Yep.
So we have got the background down now, so you know who I'm talking to. So let's talk about what he's actually doing now, which is running Premier Pitching. So if you don't know, Premier Pitching is one of the elite facilities in the nation. There's only a handful of facilities that really do what Premier's doing. So if you don't know much about them, hopefully by the time we get done today, you understand the importance of really getting plugged into someone that knows what they're talking about and someone that does this at a high level so that you can benefit from what they're offering. So you just want to talk a little bit about what Premier Pitching does?
Yeah, a little bit about my background with it too. You know, I trained at P3 while I was finishing up my career, and the last 5 years of my career, I trained there. Had an opportunity, kind of as I was exiting baseball, to get into the ownership group there, and really keep what I learned from the game applicable in my life and my business, and wanting to make a better path for pitchers, pitching coaches. We do a lot more, than just pitching stuff, at the facility. But obviously that's where my heart and passion was as I got older. So, we specialize in, individualized training based off of your assessment. And I think, we'll talk some more about that today. But that's one of the biggest things. I think that, our niche is individualized training and trying to fit a training program that best fits your needs and goals to the individual player, and that really could be any player. It could be any age. It could be any goals. To be honest with you, I would say like our staff's niche obviously is pitchers, and there is such a nuance into that training and arm health and arm longevity and arm strength. That is not common in other sports, but that overall process from a 30,000 foot view absolutely could be applied to any sort of athlete or player.
So you trained there before you got done, and then obviously as you've taken over, you got done playing how many years ago?
2.5.
2.5. So it's been a short time. Even as you were training, like the biomechanics, a lot of stuff you're doing now, has what Premier's doing now different than what I was doing 5 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say the process or the system is all very similar. Brian DeLunas is who started Premier Pitching, and he kind of passed the torch on to so many different individuals that came and left their mark on that. Guys who coached me and guys who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and a couple of those individuals are in professional baseball and even in the big leagues now, to see them go on and have the success that they do, if there's a decent amount of, or there was a decent amount of probably kids and players and parents who were 14, 15, 16 years old who probably went and spent some time at the facility there, and have no idea that the coach that was coaching them is now in the big leagues, 5, 6, 7 years later. Because I get it, you lose contact like with people like that, and it's not somebody you probably look to keep up with, too much like that. But yeah, we all kind of like laugh about that like there's certain individuals I have a lot of confidence in right now that are at our facility right now who will be that same person 5 or 6, 7 years down the road, and we take a lot of pride in the people that we hire for that. But yeah, from a 30,000 foot view, the way we go about doing things, the overall process, I would describe our process as like, the type of stuff we put up on the walls, like assess, prescribe, train, win. We want to assess a player when he comes in to find out what his key performance indicators, KPIs, his opportunities to get better. We want to evaluate those things from a very high level, a very detailed level. We want to prescribe certain drills, programs, exercises that help him accomplish those goals. We want to be kind of in the trenches training on a day-to-day basis, and all of the nooks and crannies of everything that go on like that, from a motivation standpoint to an information standpoint to a constant coaching and correction, with the dose of not over coaching. I think that's probably one of our big like things that we do at the facility too. But then win is I said all those ones: assess, prescribe, train. Like win, I think the reason I put that in there, and it's so important to all of us, is that like at the end of the day, my goal is for you not to throw your best bullpen in my facility, on our mound. Our goal is for you to actually go out there and do something with it, and in June and July and the times in the games, when they really matter.
And I think, when they really matter is not 12U per se.
No doubt.
Not that 12U is not important, but at the same time, the program's trying to build you to where you're able to maximize in high school so that you can get an opportunity to play in college and hopefully
Absolutely.
then move on and see what you can do. So trying to peak at 11 years old, although it's great to get the medals and all that, but
well, look, I think we talk about that a lot of time. Like winning builds character, losing builds character, and I think that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to build character when you're that age, and I do think that there's an element of baseball, more so these days than ever, that like winning teaches you a lot of things. You need to learn to be a winner, and there's right ways and wrong ways probably to go about that. Winning is just as important of a piece of that overall development, structure. We kind of talk about development in like a pie chart kind of way. Like learning how to win is a very critical like piece of that pie.
Yes,
It just can't like overtake all the other ones, and that's where any of them can become an issue.
Winning is the whole goal. That's why you're playing the games, and winning is you have to learn how to win. Some people naturally can perform under pressure. Some struggle a little bit, but being put in that situation more often allows you to develop, which is a part of it. But like you're saying, like win at all costs, and I think that was one of the struggles I saw as my son was going through. Is you'd have, there was a handful of pitchers in the area at 12, 13U that they were the best pitchers, so their coach would throw them out there on Friday to, hey, you get 3 innings, and then you're going to come back through the championship on Sunday. And 2 of those kids I know of right now already had Tommy John, and that's not long ago, and that's the sad part. And before we get, obviously, I want to come back to the assessment piece, but there are other pitching facilities around. Like what separates P3, or what does P3 Premier do differently than some of those other ones that kind of puts you on that national map?
Yeah. I think the 3 biggest things that we talk about all the time as far as like structure goes inside of our business is it's our people, our process, our technology. Our people, I said this already, like we take a lot of pride in the type of people that we hire, not just from a knowledge and skill space, skill set, but also from a character and communication and things of those nature. The people always make the party. That's number one. Your process there. We could talk 12 different angles on process, and like how that separates. And I know some of them probably we'll touch on some more today. But basically, process wise, always looking for deeper root answers, KPIs, and being able to like specifically diagnose those things, but then also put plans together to help improve those things, I think is probably one of the biggest things. You combo that with the technology piece and what we have at our facility. It's a major league caliber tool in the motion capture stuff. We've got force plates, we've got a mound force plate, we've got everything that you could imagine. Things that colleges wish they had for sure.
So you guys do partner with colleges. You take kind of a mobile system.
And that's why we're able to get people, to want to work with us like that. Whether it's actually to come and bring those technology tools to them, or maybe it's a diagnosis. They've got the tools and they're trying to learn how to use it better too. And I think that ultimately, if I had to pick one thing, is what separates us probably the most is that process of not just taking metrics to take metrics and identify people or identify, certain groups of people, but taking metrics so that it actually impacts the athlete's training. And, you've always got training age and biological age for players that you could have a 14-year-old that works out way more and he's way more physically advanced than a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old or whatever, right?
You get the 13-year with the mustache already.
Exactly, biological age, that kid's way younger, but training age, he's used to being around the gym, he knows how to squat already, some of those different things. There's a natural kind of progression, and you said this earlier, there's a natural progression, that needs to happen, a sequence of events that needs to happen from very quickly, one for a weight room would be movement capabilities, and then strength and stability, and then power, and then and then you start to learn very specifically, once we kind of check some big markers within there, that what within those categories do I really specifically need to work on, but from a young age, we need to have a certain capacity at each one of those levels to even put ourselves in a bucket where we could start to achieve becoming a high performing thrower. So.
And I think that it's interesting. Obviously, Premier's been around a while. Brian DeLunas I played with.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Brian. He did an unbelievable job. I know he affected a lot of people in this area with baseball. And great guy. So he started this. You picked up on that. You've built off what he started, and you've taken what you learned at the professional level and all that stuff. And I think something for a lot of people that is a struggle. Obviously, you have the science and the experience and everything to back up what you guys are doing. Most parents can just get on the internet and Google pitching drills, and they just start doing them without any sort of validity to a lot of those things.
Yep.
Do you put out information to help parents or players understand kind of what they should be looking for that's a little bit more valid than the dad coach that was like, hey, you should hit each other with a towel?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we try to tastefully market some of these things. We try to maybe present some of our findings about certain things. But our main objective, when an athlete comes in and works, with us for any of those drills or any of those types of things is when we give a drill, the why behind it is the most important piece behind it, and the athlete understanding that as well, not just that the coach understands it.
Because then it leads to the adjustments needed.
Yeah,
if you don't know how to do something and then adjust from it.
Right. Every pitcher that comes in, they'll go through their assessment, and whether they're 14 and all the data goes completely overhead, or they're 34 and they're a major league pitcher, they get at least the same sort of process of a assessment recap where all of that data is kind of presented to them, and presented in a way where it's here's some KPIs, here's some things we need to focus on, here's what we're going to do, and here's why we're going to do it, to hopefully build some confidence and conviction in the athlete and the family, and okay, there's a plan here and it's thought out. But also because at the end of the day, information without good implementation, doesn't really matter, I could tell you all these things, and if there's plenty of kids that have come through and done this, and almost any of them that have ever had an issue or wanted to cancel or anything negative type of feedback usually revolves around program compliance, because it's not just the checking of the box, and I think that's where most of people get wrong. When you do a workout program, I could do my 3 sets by 8, and say, okay, I did this, and do it for a month straight and not get any bigger, stronger. That's not really what it's about, the intent and the why behind what you're doing could give the same drill to 2 different kids probably for the exact same reason. And one kid that like is really trying to understand and know what he's trying to get better at, and like really working the drill to everything it can be, compared to the kid that's just getting up there throwing and doing it, talking to his buddy about them playing video games tonight. Like, that kid's not going to get any better, and that's just the way the world works.
And that's, the intent, going through the motions. And a lot of kids do go through the motions. Like, well, I signed up and I did this hitting, or I did this pitching, or, I went to the gym and I didn't get any stronger. The intent behind it is needed. They're not putting in the work, it ain't going to matter anyway.
Yeah.
But you keep going back to something I'm going to talk about. So I talked with Jerry Daniels several weeks ago, and we were talking about development. And one of the things that I think has frustrated me with this whole club baseball thing is, in all the mission statements, they talk about development and playing at the next level, development, playing at the next level. And parents are paying $3,000 to $4,000 depending on the club. But you're paying $3,000 to $4,000, and they're saying they're developing the player, but there's no, to me, I've never seen the metrics of like, hey, coming in, this is an assessment, this is where you are, bat speed 60, arm strength, whatever.
Yeah.
And then here's a plan based on it to improve those things. A year later, hey, what did I get back for that $4,000?
Yep.
Like, there's something valid there where I'm like, I can see growth because of this program. Yeah. And I have not seen that with clubs, and hopefully the model that Premier is using, because I think what you guys are talking about with the assessment, and then and I'll let you talk a little bit more about what you do with assessments, but that's the basis of what the foundation of your programming.
Right.
And then you're able to see growth from where they started.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as a parent, that's very important. If I'm going to invest however much into this program, I want to know at the end of it, hey, here's typically the growth we get, or here's what you can expect.
Yep.
So coming in, when a player, like, how old do you recommend a player come in for an assessment? Obviously, the physical age of a kid varies, but is there kind of a time that if a parent asks, hey, in middle school, should they get the first assessment, or going in high school?
We started at 14, and for some players that can be early. For some players that can be fine. We started at 14, and as far as the need on it, everybody needs to learn their body, and they need to learn the correct way to go about training, and they need to learn the correct way to throw a baseball. And every 14-year-old will get that out of that assessment process. Now, will they continue to grow and go through puberty, and if they, for the next year, to be honest with you, if they just worked out with the football team, they probably, you wouldn't see a real big difference if we could run a control group of these 5 kids just go lift with the football team, and then these 5 kids go train at Premier. There may not be a huge discrepancy between that group, but if you zoomed out and you looked at it 5 years down the road of the group that chose that versus the group that chose this, and the education on the why behind it, and building the intent and building the engine behind that, I would absolutely guarantee you that this educated group, when they're 18, 21, 23, is going to be light years ahead of that.
I agree.
And I'll say this because I was that person. I was the workout with the football team. We didn't have things like this just yet, So I did that. I did it on my own, and then I got 25 years old, I guess. I was 24, 25 years old. Started training at our facility and learned all these extra things. And I was like, wow, there's a lot more that I feel like I didn't know, that, if I could zoom, or if I could rewind back to 15-year-old Brett and know those same sort of things about myself that I just didn't know until the data and analytics taught me about it, that helped build and shape my training programs, but also shaped my approach on the field. Within 1 year, my swing and miss rates, just on my fastball alone, went through the roof. My strikeouts went way up, all because I learned about my curveball a little bit better, how and when to use it, things of that nature, that the education earlier on. If that's the one thing that the player gets out of it, that is so valuable, much less
building
all the
everything
other physical
off of
KPIs.
that foundation.
Right.
And that's what, going and lifting anywhere is beneficial. There's no doubt. Being physical, That's awesome.
Because at the end of the day, your body's your engine. So like just a bigger, stronger, faster body is just going to make you a better pitcher, you know? So especially from 14 to 15 and 15 to 16, 16 to 17, like when there is such a big physical discrepancy between players, the point is that when they're 19 and there's not, that gap shrinks, the talent gap that we've talked about a lot of times, and then that physicality gap shrinks, and it's those details that wind up separating them. That's when those details like really start to separate people. And the difference, I say this all the time, the difference is always in those details. And that group and building their body up and building those engines up, absolutely, from this year to that year, that's what most people think is that, well, I can just go work out and that's good enough, you know, like yeah it is, you're not
It's
wrong.
good.
You're not wrong. It's
It is
good enough
beneficial.
for this winter, maybe. Yeah.
But long term, and just I saw a stat posted somewhere, the average weight for D1 players, and it's interesting. If you're younger and you're like, I don't want to lift, well, just understand. The average D1 catcher last year weighed over 200 pounds. The average third, let's put it this way, the average third, first, catcher, right field, and pitcher all were over 200 pounds on average.
Yep.
Like, those aren't little guys anymore. But there is a difference, and I think that's something that I didn't get to experience, but to see the difference between just strength, like football strength, and then functional strength are two different paths, and the functional strength is what translates to athletic movements.
Right.
Like, both are beneficial, but if you're going to do it, if you can get assessment early, we talked about with Ben Hendricks a couple weeks ago, like get an assessment, figure out discrepancy in your bodies, and figure out what you need to work on. Right. But all of it's going back to me, that assessment piece allows you to see how the body's moving and where there are discrepancies and where there are gaps, because to me, those gaps is where injuries are going to happen. If you don't address those certain discrepancies, all of a sudden you have imbalances, you pull things, you tear things.
It's everything really. It's injuries, it's poor performances, and it's, you know, it's like plateaus, you know. So you would just want to go like lift your head off. Like they're the best pitchers in the world aren't the strongest pitchers. I'll tell you that right now.
Pedro Martinez was not a big thick guy.
No, like I mean, you could name any of them. You know, like Scherzer's strong, but like, you know, most of the strongest pitchers, you know, or most of the pitchers in the big leagues like aren't the strongest ones. You know, like it's not really what it's about. You know. So
obviously you have the purpose. Like, what are some of the things within that assessment? So you recommend around 14 as the earliest you do it. And
it's
then
the earliest we offer it, yeah.
So within the assessment, they get the biomechanic piece, which is one of the things that you're the only one around here that does that, correct?
Yeah, I still think that you got more fingers on your hands than places you can go to privately do a motion capture to the quality of the lab that we have, for sure. It's a major league tool. It's in, you know, college stadiums like Arkansas and Rice and, you know, Stanford, but there's still probably only like 7 or 8 schools in the country that have one.
I think it's just interesting that right here in Wentzville, there's an opportunity to go get an assessment at a elite level, and there's still so many people that aren't taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
And even if they go and they can go do an assessment and then go back to their
Absolutely.
facility and still train.
Yep.
But at least they have the information to give to that instructor or whatever.
Correct.
Because I think that's part of like with Tommy John, and we'll get to that in a second, but it's always fascinating to me that parents are reluctant to pay for an assessment that truly is the foundation of development, but they'll pay to go to Indy 4 times and pay for the hotel.
Invite only.
Invites only.
Yeah.
If you don't know, they're not invite only. None of them, unless there's, anyway, you've heard me talk about before, but just the travel costs alone.
Yeah.
If you cut out one weekend of traveling, it would more than pay for the assessment.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's the reality of like, these clubs are like, hey, we're all about development. Well, then show me. Show me how you're actually investing in development. And you guys also do, Premier does a development league in the summer, which is for college kids. When did you start doing that one?
That started before I was in the ownership too. The guys at the facility had started that. I think in 2019 was the first year. 2020 was off because of COVID, and then 21
4 or 5 years.
Up. Yeah, it's been going for a couple of years, and you know, I it's grown every year. I think it's gotten better and better operationally and, you know, competitively every single year. We hosted at a great venue out at Carshield and TR Hughes, and got some great coaches that come help us out for the summer too, So yeah, it's been really good. It allows us to kind of combo training and competition, because at the end of the day, competitive reps are also, just like winning, a very important piece of that like development pie. And so we try to figure out ways, especially during months of the year that allow it, ways to like work that into what we're doing. And it's great, like the reality is like those pitchers get the and position players get to sleep better, eat better, better recovery, better nutrition, all those things, because there's no travel in that league. Like you go play in the Northwoods or any CBL like I did, and you're on a bus every other day. Like you're eating whatever was open at night or at the liberty of whatever post game spread was.
Those college leagues are essentially just get reps.
Yeah, just get reps.
It's just reps after reps after reps, which old school.
And the training is up to you, basically. I remember going through it, and I was, one of the few that was at the gym every day I was supposed to be. I wasn't at the gym every day, but, doing something, doing something as far as that goes. So now it's like scripted. It's if you pitch on Monday, you're not even going to the games the rest of the week. Like you're pitching on Monday, you come over to the facility, you get your post stuff in, you're done. Tuesday, you just come to the facility, get your routine in, you're done. Wednesday, same thing, all the way through. So like it's totally about like your individual routine, and it's meant to get you back on college campus, in better shape than what you left. And a lot of times, summer ball doesn't really do that for you.
And I think it's the same comparison to me as we were talking about lifting weights. Going in the weight room, just getting reps, yeah, it's beneficial. I mean, you're going to get stronger, and that there's a benefit to doing that.
Yeah.
But the intent behind it, actually having a plan and a process in place.
It's crazy to me how different people think that, I can just lift, but I have to have like a hitting coach that talks me through all these different mechanics things. Like most of the time, for people who are just like entering this conversation, there's such a huge discrepancy of like, I'll get a hitting coach, but then I'll just go work out at Club Fitness. Like really, like in a hypothetical sense, you're probably initially at least better off flip-flopping that.
Oh, I agree.
Knowing how much of a difference. I joke and say this all the time, like you wouldn't want to do this with a pitcher. You wouldn't want to do this with a pitcher because your arm would get hurt. Like you need certain on-ramp times and things like that. But like if you just took the off season for 6 months and lifted really, really good, you'd get a lot better next year just by having a better engine. Like your body's your engine. I said that earlier. And like, if you just did that, like you'd be a lot better of a player.
And that's, I had talks today with some of the kids at Howell about, they just finished their fall season last week. Now they're going to Hit Lab, and then they're doing winter training, and then they go high school season. I'm like, stop. Just take, to me, breaks and playing other sports are really important. But even if you're not playing other sports, go hunt, go fish, get away from the game, because to me, it gives a reset to your brain. And you forget some of the bad habits that you had. So when you come back, it's a fresh slate. Like, I think a break is a good thing. And for whatever reason, I know the reason. I mean, you can't make money if the players aren't in the building. So there's a business component, and that's a whole different thing. But going back to this developmental league, because it's something I've talked about with Jerry and different people, why high school isn't more focused on some of they're no longer invite only. Like going to all these different Indy, KC, Atlanta, they're no longer invite. So the watered down effect of clubs has become, you go down there, you're playing teams that aren't that great. And the competition just within St. Louis is about the same. Now, I'm not saying don't travel at all. You do need to get out.
Yeah.
But this structure like that you have, and I don't know if you only play games on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right?
Yep.
And then the rest of the week.
Yeah, it's set up just to be exactly the same as, my experience at Mizzou during the fall. We would emulate a 3-game series every week, just like we were going to expect to do in the spring. And, we would play 3 games each week, and then we'd train for the other 4 days, and then we'd come back and we'd do 3 games a week, and obviously like your pitcher routine, you only have 1 game a week, so you're always training all the rest of the days, but even for the position guys, like play in our league, we play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then, we have practice on Thursdays and Fridays, and, then lifting only on Saturdays, and the practices, has, hitting and infield or outfield stuff, and then lifting afterwards, so that you're throughout the entire week you're getting competitive reps, but you're also getting training reps, and you're also getting stuff in the weight room, and things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's it's part of the shift that we're trying to go through with more reps is not better reps. reps with intent and part of a process of development is what we're shooting for anyway.
Yep.
And I don't know, do you guys even keep stats in that league?
We do. Yeah, we do. We do to keep
I mean, there's a
competitive
competitive part,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for
that's
sure.
what, there's nothing.
Progress and competitive. I mean, the same sort of thing though too. When we're talking about hitting training things, we're not just keeping just like for the pitchers. Like we'll keep wins and losses in the ERA and normal things like that. We'll keep batting average and RBIs and stuff for hitters. But we're keeping like chase percentages and end zone swings and hard contacts and things like that. Data, like the next step of data analytics to actually see if you played well today. Like you barreled up 4 balls, but you went 0 for 4. Like that's a great day. Your average exit velo was 88.5. Like pretty good day. Like so we're trying to look into things like that take it a step further of, well, how did I play? How did I progress? And we take all those stats to see and track and and measure that progress. Just the same way that we're doing on our assessment.
And those metrics are in high school. Kids get locked in because it's easy to look at my batting average or how many hits I had, and then you go. We've talked about the talent gap shrinks as you go up to college and then professionally, but that talent gap when it shrinks, you have to start assessing a good day, bad day differently. You can't be locked into results because results are out of your control for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you barrel 4 balls, that's great. You had a great day. You're 0 for 4.
Yep.
So a great 0 for 4 day in high school, I don't care how hard you hit the ball, people are like, oh, I had a horrible day.
Yep.
Well, there's a maturing, and that's part of the development process. And I'm glad in that league they're seeing that.
A lot of this comes down to having a process-oriented mind frame and an outcome-oriented mind frame. That's what you were just describing. But even people who are quick to spend their money maybe on travel or club or extra invite showcases or whatever is thinking very outcome-based. And we'll go back to like your comment earlier of the advertisement of development and then maybe the actual activity. I think a lot of clubs try to show development and progress of like, well, how many college commitments did I have? That's probably the biggest. Yeah, that's the biggest
what you see.
metric.
If
that
you
they
go to
try
their website,
present,
it says development,
and look,
it says playing college,
that's awesome.
and then you see names.
Like kids going to college,
yes.
That's awesome. I think that's the number one goal. That's the outcome that everybody wants. And the issue that I have with anything that's outcome oriented is that, the process is ultimately what's going to get me there. So my brain worked like this all the way through baseball. It works like this now through business. I have these outcome goals of things that we want to do, but how the heck am I going to get there? Mm-hmm. And I think people like don't stop to think enough about, well, how the heck am I going to get there? So, we did some really cool research and development type of things this summer. I was telling you earlier about those tools that we're building, but we also did these different projects to talk about our data and our metrics and what most closely relates to ball velocity. And we also talked about some of the biggest KPIs in a general sense, because you can talk about KPIs for an individual and
KPIs, the key performance
indicators. Yeah.
Some of us are not at Premier. I'm trying to. I'm like KPI. That's another.
The things you want to get better at. Yeah. Those things. Right. Those things can be different from you to me. Right. What we were trying to find this summer is like the big picture KPIs that is like the most important about pitchers as a whole, right?
Yeah.
So part of our app, part of our development, part of our stuff that we're building is progress trackers, because I want you to log into your account there. I want it to just absolutely smack you in the face with like, how's my training going?
Yeah.
Like you have these certain amount of goals. Is your body weight trending up or down? Is your whatever, your metric that we said you need to focus on for your pitching mechanics trending up and down? Is your metric in the weight room, is it trending up or down? And like,
it's accountability.
Yeah, it's accountability. And so like either for the player who's like super intrinsically motivated, or for the parent that says, what the heck am I paying for? Show me some progress. What's going on here? All those things are just like, no need to communicate that anymore. I just built a system that shows you every time you log into it, So, to see some of those things and have some of those things from like a progress and like process piece, and like, because every player that comes in, I know what they want. I already know what they want. I've lived it. They want to throw hard. They want to throw strikes. They want to stay healthy. It will never change. That's baseball. That's pitchers. That's the outcome. Okay. And the conversations that we all have and especially our coaches have with all these players, is like, okay, well, here's how we need to get there. And I want those here's how we need to get there things to smack you in the face, but also just be obvious. You know, like through the education piece, like, you know, I want them to learn it like the back of their hand, like we've all gotten to learn it. So.
Well, that's why I think that even logging in the consistency is where kids get lost. Like everyone starts out with the intent of like, man, I'm going to go to
Everybody
Premier.
gets lost there, truly.
Yeah, and that's the
the
consistent. I tell my kids all the time, consistency is more important than intensity. Lifting hard for a week doesn't do you anything.
Amen.
Lifting consistently year round, you start seeing gains and you start getting to where you need to go. So like, I think one of the problems that people have with any program is sticking to it. Yeah. Like you can write the best. Here's your assessment. Okay, here's the plan to get here.
No doubt.
But the piece in the middle, and I think this is something that, parents don't get. Sometimes the player doesn't want it as bad as the parent.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't want it as bad as the parent or for himself, it's not going to work.
No doubt.
And I don't care how much money parents spend on training or hit labs or pitching or what. If the player is not driving the work, you're just wasting time. But you're talking about you guys had to analyze a lot of what you've done. I know you have this player development summit coming up.
Yeah.
Actually, today is Thursday. It's not, but that's okay. We'll get there. This is airing on Thursday, right before the summit, which will be on the 26th.
Yep, 26th. So every year we try to host an event for high school coaches. We talk about all kinds of different topics, really just trying to be involved in the community. And like a lot of these coaches, we already train their players. So just being, telling them the same sort of things and helping share information. It typically isn't like us telling you what to do. It's usually a collaborative conversation of like, well, here's what we're seeing. Well, here's what we're doing. Well, here's what's working on the field, etc. So this year, for a couple different reasons, I've shifted this to be open to coaches and parents and players. And to be honest with you, I think initially I was thinking like just Premier Pitching clients, but I don't care if anybody wants to come. It'd be great. Like come learn, But because we are planning to present some of the things that we're working on this summer, data and information that we've kind of found, correlation projects, we're planning to announce a new partnership with Lindenwood, a human performance partnership basically with their exercise performance nutrition lab. The same sort of way I think like nutrition and hydration is very buzzword, things people know are important, but maybe don't know how to individualize or the importance of individualizing it. The lab there at Lindenwood has all the tools that I was fortunate to have, like at Mizzou and beyond, that helps you do the things for your nutrition and your performance that we do for your lifting and for your throwing. So it was a great opportunity to merge and create a partnership there. That lab, the guys there, Chad there, and everybody else that works there is extremely, wanting to make an impact in the community and wanting to help people and wanting to provide information that their lab is able and fortunate enough to get and consume and report on to help educate people, So it'll be a great, we're going to announce that partnership, and they're also going to have a big nutrition type of educational seminar there piggybacked off of that as well. So
the nutrition, and there's a lot of links in the chain. You have the weakest link, it's going to expose everything else. And nutrition, I think, is the most misunderstood one, which goes into recovery. I mean, there's so much recovery, especially with pitching the bodies, but nutrition, I mean, that's a great partnership, and I hope people take advantage of it because nutrition is a game-changing component within recovery, strength, putting on weight, how to do it the right way, all those wonderful things. So anyone can come to this thing?
Yeah, sure, why not?
I don't know.
Go on our, if you want to come, just make sure to go on our social medias and click on the link that's in our bios there. There's a link to reserve a spot. We just probably need a head count, but it's open and free.
So anyone can come.
Come, it's free, and we'll have some free samples.
You can afford that. Too, it's free.
So, yeah.
So that's good.
1 to 3 on the 26th. It's at First Form's headquarters too. So
where's that?
All that it's in Fenton.
Oh, that's right.
Off of Logistics Parkway, I believe is the word, or I believe the name. So all the information's in that graphic, on the link there.
So that's good. So if you have questions, or you said all the data you're getting from the summer, the summer league or your college?
All of it, yeah, all of
So,
it. All of the assessments that we took basically this summer. We had a new set of force plates this year. We got the new force plate mounds, so like a lot of different data was being collected, and we just wanted to analyze those things and start to find some of our highest correlated things to ball velocity and what actually needs to happen to throw harder, stay healthier, and throw more strikes. And we found some cool things.
Oh, I mean, these are the opportunities that if you have the time on Saturday to do that, it's Saturday, right?
Yep.
Sorry, there's no, anyway, I'm reading things. Saturday, go take advantage of, like, this is free information. It's just not information that you're pulling off the internet. Like, this is stuff that can actually, it's valid, it's useful, it's beneficial. Take some time to do it. And that's where people want to take shortcuts. I want to develop, I don't want everything, but then put the time in.
Yeah.
Like, ask the people that know. I mean, we've talked a lot about pitching. I don't ask you about hitting much because you don't know anything. But anyway, I'm kidding. Brett was a good hitter.
Thanks for that.
That's
Put
okay.
that in there.
He may have hit the furthest ball ever that I've given up in BP. Now, I may have thrown it nicely because there was a scout there.
That's what it was.
That's a story I've held on to for many years, but that ball was launched.
You grunted. Just saying.
The grunt was just to let the scout know that, man, that was like 85,
It was hard. Yeah.
72.
You were trying to get drafted.
I had already been drafted at that point, so I was just trying to make you look good, which is apparently I did, although not as a hitter, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we'll get to talk again sometime soon. You guys watching next week, we have Scout from the Padres. Get to talk to them and all kinds of wonderful information that he'll be sharing. If you have not checked out the previous episodes, please go back, look at those things. There's a lot of information from, just like Brett shared today. Like last week was Ben Hendricks. They're all run together. But Ben, tremendous guy, talking about preventative measures, just a role that's like that sort of treatment can play, keeping you on the field. Kevin Mulder, like there's a lot of guys that this is what they do day in, day out, take advantage of the free information. So again, this is free. We're not charging. So appreciate you watching. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.